Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A suspect accused of opening fire during the White House Correspondents' Dinner has officially been charged with attempting to assassinate the president. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen made his first appearance in federal court today. Meanwhile, the White House is expecting to hold a security review this week for major events involving the president. Lee Waldman has more.
For the first time, the suspect in a shooting incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C. is in court.
The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life.
Right now, investigators are combing through a message said to have been sent by suspect Cole Thomas Allen to his family members before the attack. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says it appears Allen was targeting members of the Trump administration.
We should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day.
The 31-year-old part-time teacher and video game developer from California came armed with several firearms, law enforcement said. The White House will meet this week with the U.S. Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security to discuss security protocol around major events involving the president, according to a senior White House official. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt says Saturday's incident proves why the new White House ballroom is necessary, but those who oppose the project argue the ballroom would do nothing for private events like the Correspondents' Dinner.
The line of secession in this country should be able to gather freely in safety without the fear of threats or political violence, and the White House ballroom will provide that.
FBI Director Kash Patel said the Bureau will work with other law enforcement agencies to discuss lessons learned from the incident. Lee Waldman, KPBS News.
Allen was also charged with discharging a firearm during a violent crime and transportation of a firearm and ammunition in interstate commerce. A detention hearing is set for April 30th. Meanwhile, a UC San Diego professor is warning that political violence is reaching a peak not seen in 3 decades. She says it's driven in part by hateful material on social media.
The previous peak was actually around 1995, and some of your viewers will remember Timothy McVeigh's attack in Oklahoma City. After that, political violence dropped significantly. We now are in a situation where most people view citizens from the other party as the enemy. They don't want their kids to marry into that party. And increasingly, especially among the younger generation, violence is being viewed as justified for political reasons.
And Walter predicts political violence in the U.S. will continue to increase over time. KPBS spoke with Professor Walter last year about her book, How Civil Wars Start and How to Stop Them, as part of our Public Matters initiative. You can find that interview on our website, kpbs.org/Public Matters.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and coming up tonight, we're down to 55 under a partly cloudy sky, a dry and warmer stretch to the middle of the week. Few of us could see some showers to wrap up the week, then a weekend warm-up. We'll have all the details coming up.
To the north of the Imperial Valley, another battleground is emerging in the debate over AI data centers. KPBS reporter Corey Suzuki says residents are pushing back against a large data center campus in the city of Coachella.
The proposal is for a large data center campus that would cover 240 acres. At a meeting last week, residents urged the Coachella City Council to hold a public discussion about the project.
The data centers would also connect to IID, which means it would impact all existing customers across the Coachella Valley and in Imperial County.
Stephanie Ambris is a resident of Coachella. She pointed out that the city gets their power from the Imperial Irrigation District, the Imperial Valley's powerful public utility. Coachella is currently in the process of trying to create its own municipal utility.
You can build a utility without data centers, and we deserve a say in the development of our future utility.
For months, residents in the Imperial Valley to the south have also been fighting a massive data center project. Earlier this month, the Pew Research Center found that most new data centers are being proposed in rural areas. City officials in Coachella say they haven't approved anything yet, and that project would require a full environmental impact report. Several city council members have said they would push for a public discussion. In the newsroom, Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
If you have a tip for KPBS's investigations team, you can send an email to investigations@kpbs.org or message them on our secure signal line at the number on your screen, 619-594-8177. An East County community is coming together to tackle a growing problem in their neighborhood: speeding. Residents, police, and city officials gathered for the latest community meeting on Gustavo Street to work toward a shared goal: slowing down drivers and making streets safer. Since they've begun, the city of El Cajon has taken action, from announcing a new automated system to collect data and warn drivers to slow down, to holding town hall meetings.
This was a fantastic turnout today. I had no idea what to expect, really. I think that speaks volumes of the seriousness, the legitimacy of their commitment to affecting change in our community.
And the next town hall for neighborhood traffic calming is scheduled for May 21st. Meanwhile, starting tomorrow, California Highway Patrol will begin a 24-hour maximum enforcement period focused on speeding to reduce serious and fatal crashes statewide. San Diego County started construction today on cabins for people experiencing homelessness in East County. KPBS reporter Elaine Alfaro says the project faced setbacks along the way and some questions remain.
The once empty Caltrans lot at the corner of Troy Street and Sweetwater Road is now property of San Diego County, and this morning it was bustling with construction workers. It will soon host 60 cabins that could shelter 1 to 2 people each. In addition to the cabins, the county plans to offer on-site case management support for the residents. County staff announced the finalized purchase of the property earlier this month, and they've been contacting neighbors to let them know construction would be starting today. Here's Deanna Beck. She's the director of the county's Office of Homeless Solutions.
So we all know that communities are safer when people are housed, and this project aims to provide safe interim housing to help bridge people to stability and permanency. This site is going to prioritize residents from Lemon Grove and the surrounding unincorporated area like Spring Valley, for example, and Casa de Oro.
But the project has had its fair share of critics, and it's hit roadblocks along the way, from getting access to the former Caltrans land to securing funding for the project. The cabin project has been in discussion since 2019. Lemon Grove City Council member Yadira Altamirano was one of many who spoke out against the project at a county supervisors meeting last October. She still has questions.
The concerns still exist. We're not quite sure who the operator will be. That I know, to my knowledge, I would like the community to have input for there to be some type of accountability program, an oversight committee. We're not quite sure what's going to happen when people decide to leave the program. We don't know a lot of things. There's still a lot of questions unanswered.
The county is looking for a homeless provider to step into the project as the site operator. Once completed, the cabins could open in summer 2027. Elaine Alfaro, KPBS News.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the suspect from the White House Correspondents' Dinner is charged with trying to assassinate the president. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Americans are feeling lousy about the economy. That's according to the University of Michigan's latest consumer sentiment reading. And while last week's numbers show some slight improvement from earlier in the month, overall consumer sentiment is at a historic low. Jen Sullivan explains why.
With inflation ticking up and gas prices spiking, many people are worried about their wallets. In the University of Michigan's latest consumer sentiment reading, a report that measures how people feel about the economy, shows people are concerned. In April, sentiment dipped to historic lows.
The consumer sentiment is really telling you that people are exhausted. it's a roller coaster and they want to get off.
Since the war began February 28th, U.S. gas prices have shot up more than 35%. As of Monday, the national average for a gallon of regular gas was $4.11, according to AAA, a far cry from the $2.98 drivers were paying at the pump before the war broke out. The ongoing war has severely impacted maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. It's causing global oil prices to surge and even causing jet fuel shortages, which is making airfare more expensive.
Jet fuel is particularly under pressure right now because of the Strait of Hormuz being closed.
Domestic airfare costs are up 18% for summer travelers. International flights up almost 8% compared to last year, according to Going.com. And it's also impacting food prices because many fertilizers are made with petroleum, and it's costing farmers more to plant.
All the prices of anything that you buy that comes out of the ground is going to be more expensive because so much of it as a global commodity flows through the Strait of Hormuz.
All of this happening ahead of the busy summer travel season, making many Americans more concerned about their finances. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Are companies watching you shop online and using your personal data to fine-tune prices? That is the question some lawmakers and advocacy groups are asking after a deleted social media post from JetBlue, which seemed to suggest clearing your browser history might affect airfare. Michael Yoshida reports.
Surveillance pricing is broadly legal here in the U.S., and while airlines including JetBlue say they don't use the practice, a recent social media post has some calling for more transparency in how pricing decisions are made.
Social media turbulence for JetBlue. A customer writing on X, quote, "I love flying JetBlue, but a $230 increase on a ticket after one day is crazy. I'm just trying to make it to a funeral." The airline replying, quote, "Try clearing your cache and cookies or booking with an incognito window. We're sorry for your loss." JetBlue deleted the post, saying in a statement it was a mistake and that the steps suggested would not have changed the airfares available for purchase. The airline also says it, quote, "does not use personal information or web browsing history to set individual pricing."
It's entirely a myth in the industry. Airline pricing changes so quickly, and I think that's just due to supply and demand.
The exchange igniting questions about surveillance pricing, using browsing history, spending habits, location, and other personal data to adjust prices for individuals. While the practice is broadly legal in the U.S., airlines, including JetBlue, say they don't do it.
The airlines are getting much better at dynamic pricing. That does not mean that they're tracking individuals, though. They're looking at trends, at pricing trends overall. So if there's a lot of people across a lot of geographies who are looking for the same flight you're looking for, then the price may go up.
Still, advocacy groups want more transparency on how prices are being set.
Companies are increasingly turning to new technologies to vary pricing. It's really a departure from 150 years of pricing in which there's been a standard price that we've all paid if we were buying the same item from the same retailer at the same time.
And in the wake of that social media exchange, a proposed class action lawsuit has been filed in federal court in New York against JetBlue. But important to point out, in their original statement to us, JetBlue reiterated that its fares are determined by demand as well as seat availability, and all customers have access to the same fares, whether on their website or in their mobile app. Still, that's not stopping some advocates and some lawmakers from asking questions. In Washington, I'm Michael Yoshida.
Gas prices in San Diego keep climbing today as the Iran war nears 60 days. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says some San Diego residents are avoiding the high cost of gas with electric vehicles.
Just before federal tax credits expired in September, Claremont resident Rick Thompson got an electric vehicle.
I used to drive a diesel vehicle before, and now, like near where I live in Claremont, it's about $8 a gallon for diesel fuel. So it would cost me about $100 to fill up every time, and that's kind of expensive just to go to the pump every time and pay $100.
Experts say high gas prices are pushing more people to consider EVs. Cox Automotive reports more EV shopping activity on Kelley Blue Book and AutoTrader. The average price of regular gas in San Diego is now $5.99 per gallon. Candace Red is a spokesperson for AAA.
Looking at the data, we know that gas prices jumped 13 cents in a week, 7 cents in a month, and $1.22 in a year.
She says California has the highest gas prices in the country, but it's not the most expensive place to charge an EV.
We know that's because of a large and competitive charging network, that widespread home charging options, and lower off-peak electricity rates all help keep prices from reaching the highest levels.
Thompson estimates he spends an equivalent of $2.70 per gallon to charge his EV at home.
If you have a level 2 charger at home, you still have to put the cost on your household as far as like an electric bill. So like our electric bill is like about $300 now, which is quite high for a single family home.
Still, he says it's cheaper than filling up at the gas pump. EVs are usually more expensive to buy new than gas-powered cars. But Cox Automotive says more used EVs could soon be on the market. Thousands of leases will end this year, and many of them will be sold as used cars. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
And that story is part of our Price of San Diego series. We have more cost of living stories about everything from rising gas prices to saving money on live sports events. Check it out online at kpbs.org/Price of San Diego. Mexico broke ground today on a project designed to manage Tijuana's sewage better and keep less of it from spilling into San Diego. The project involves upgrading pump stations in Tijuana. They have repeatedly failed and sent millions of gallons per day of raw sewage into the Tijuana River. John Beckman is with the North American Development Bank financing the project.
Obras como estas ayudan a recibir desbordamientos, a prevenir descargas sin tratamiento y a proteger el río Tijuana.
Most recently, one of the pump stations failed last month. Pollution from sewage spills has become airborne and has led people to report headaches and other health symptoms. The bank says the pump station project will be paid for in part by a $13 million grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Officials say the project is expected to be completed next year. San Diego is among one of the most polluted counties in the U.S. That is according to a recent report that rates the quality of air Americans breathe. It found millions of children are growing up with dangerous air. Mandy Gaither has a look at the latest air pollution data and what families can do to mitigate the effects of it.
In its 27th annual State of Air report, the American Lung Association finds more than 152 million Americans are living in areas with unhealthy levels of air pollution.
We've made tremendous progress in cleaning the air over those 27 years, but we still have a long way to go.
The report tracks ground level ozone, also known as smog, and short and long-term particle pollution, which is a mixture of solid and liquid droplets suspended in the air and includes dust, dirt, soot, and smoke, which can cause asthma attacks, heart attacks, strokes, preterm births, and particle pollution can also cause lung cancer. By 2050, researchers predict there could be an increase of up to 4,300 premature deaths a year in the U.S. due to these pollutants.
Today, nearly half of all children in the United States live in a community impacted by unhealthy levels of ozone or particle pollution, or both.
Since children and teens' lungs are still developing and they tend to spend more time outdoors being active, experts say they're more susceptible to the effects of air pollution exposure. To mitigate that, be aware of local conditions, check daily forecasts for air quality in your area, and take action to reduce exposures where you can.
The other way we can be involved is to use our voice, to really look at ways that we can convey to our local policymakers, whether city council or state legislators, or even to the EPA, that we need more progress on clean air, not less.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The American Lung Association State of the Air report also finds a person of color in the U.S. is more than twice as likely than a white individual to live in a community with a failing grade on all three measures of pollution, which are air, pollution, smog, and soot. The San Diego, Chula Vista, and Carlsbad region ranked the 5th worst nationally for annual particle pollution and 7th worst for ozone pollution.
As we continue to move on through the week, some nicer weather returning with a dry and warmer pattern through the middle of the week. Late week showers possible for some, and then temperatures will warm up as we head into the weekend before we'll be turning cooler again. So kind of riding the temperature roller coaster ride here. Tonight we'll be down into the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Borrego Springs 47, Mount Laguna 39, San Diego 55, a cool night in Oceanside at 46, and Chula Vista you'll drop down to 52 degrees. Tomorrow, though, across a lot of the Southwest, it is looking nice. Still some lingering moisture, Salt Lake City, Denver, Colorado Springs, but we've got a gorgeous stretch of weather here with temperatures returning near the historical average. That puts a lot of us in the sunny and 70 category, right? 82 for Borrego Springs, 53 in Mount Laguna, but you make your way towards the coast and further inland here, temperatures hovering into the 70s for tomorrow. Not much change on the way for Wednesday, dry and nice. Really, that's how we split it. We'll see some breezier conditions picking up across the Four Corners and some lingering showers near Denver, but all of California looking quite nice. Now we'll be watching this storm zip across SoCal as we head into Thursday. So by Thursday night and into Friday, that'll push back across the southwest and south central United States, but could bring us a shower by the end of the week. Now the coast looks to stay mainly dry here. We'll certainly see an increase in cloud coverage come Thursday as temperatures climb back up, and then we're back to the 60s on Saturday. You'll start to see the showers, though, pop up inland, so pleasant Tuesday and Wednesday. Partly cloudy with some showers on Thursday, and there's that warm up by the end of the week and the start of the weekend. Even could see a shower or two across the mountain locations with chillier weather, 47 before we're back to the 60s by Saturday, and desert locations could even see a brief shower or two by Thursday before 90s Friday into Saturday. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
For years, it was an iconic place in one neighborhood. Its owner made an unforgettable impression on his community. Now there's a lasting tribute to this man and his legacy. Ken Kramer has the story about San Diego.
Here we are in North Park, corner of Grimm Avenue and North Park Way. Used to be a little Chinese restaurant was here.
Oh yes, I grew up here. My parents made me work here growing up.
Well, June Wong's dad owned the place, and he went by the name of Lucky. Everybody knew him as Lucky. Liked to play the horses, you see. Kind of had a knack for that.
For the most part, he was lucky.
Came from China to San Diego with his granddad, went to school here, and was very determined.
Because you don't have time, as an immigrant, you have to survive. You can't be involved in your hang-ups.
So 1975 on this corner, Lucky Wong opens a little Chinese restaurant. But what it eventually became was a place for an affordable breakfast. And I mean for years, maybe $3 or $5.
Oh, it's a full meal. You get your full breakfast. Eggs, bacon, hash browns, and toast.
And something more, something that wasn't on the menu, a genuine goodness. You came in here one time or 100, Lucky cared about you. Matthew Lyons remembers that.
I saw multiple people who didn't know that it was cash only and left without paying the bill, just kind of on the honor system. I definitely know that there were people who knew that this was the place where they could come get a bite to eat, even though they never intended to pay the bill, and that it was okay and that they were still welcome back.
He was the cook, he was the server, he took your breakfast order, he went in the back and prepared it, brought it to you, brought you the bill, which might be a few dollars, never more than 10. Finally raised it to $9.98, but $10 was a line he would not cross, June says.
Because he was very generous, he was very giving, and he knew so many people that he was able to help make connections and network.
And that's the other thing about Lucky Wong. Over a half century in this no-frills breakfast place, his very open, very genuine, very human interest in everybody, no matter who you were, made him a North Park icon.
June said that cooking wasn't Lucky's passion. I think it was taking care of people was. So cooking was his metaphor for how he could take care of people.
He became known to the city's movers and shakers, a tireless champion for North Park, and a friend and confidant to soon-to-be neighborhood business owners like Matthew Lyons, who became a regular at the diner and ended up opening Tribute Pizza in the old post office right across the street. When 90-year-old Lucky Wong died in 2024, Matthew knew the connection and affection he felt for him was for sure felt by other people too.
So we started a petition on change.org and got more than 4,000 signatures in pretty short order.
All to help create the lasting tribute unveiled on June 28th of 2025.
It was unbelievable. There were 1,000 people showed up.
Gathering on that day on that North Park street corner to remember the good man who made an unforgettable impression. So there it is today at the corner of North Park Way and Grimm Avenue, one block of which now and forever will carry the honorary name of Lucky Lane. Lucky's daughter June knows people seeing it will think about the restaurant.
And his legacy, for me, his legacy wasn't about this diner, it's the impact he made on people.
And one more thing, along with that petition, there was money raised to pay for the sign and the street designation, more than enough to also create a scholarship for students who need support in studying the culinary arts. June says her dad believed that if you do good, it will come back to you. Well, Lucky did, and it has, for he is now,
being loved, being honored, being remembered.
As someone who truly cared about people and about San Diego.
Gosh, what a great story, and so very well told by our own Ken Kramer. And by the way, Ken Kramer has a half hour of stories every week about San Diego, and you can see them Thursday nights at 8 o'clock right here on KPBS. And you can find tonight's stories right there on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, air, restoration, and flood services for over 45 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.